So,
Cool.
welcome Knox to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Enforce this new album, War Remains, and more things relating to the metal world. So, we are starting with a common question, I think, because Kill Grid was released 2 years ago. Now you are releasing a new album in a few months. So, how will be the set list for the next future presentations? Because Kill Grid doesn't have a good promotion for the end of the pandemic, and now you have a better production, well, a better promotion to do this War Remains with a better promotion. No?
Yeah, I would agree, but at the same time, um, we did what we could with Kill Grid, and I think we were able to tour a lot. I mean, we toured from 2021 to 2022. We were on the road for almost 5 months, 4 or 5 months. So I feel really good about that. Hopefully, in the next year, or in this year and next year, we'll be able to tour a whole lot more. We've already got a couple offers to tour, and we're considering all options. So it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, since the beginning, Enforced was a band that grow up with a very faster because all the world was will receive it by reviewers, by the fans, and then Kill Grid released by Century Media, and now again One Remake released by Century Media. So how you see this accomplished for the band to be in all news, sharing all of your music, etc.
It's a blessing. I'll be honest. It's really cool to go from a band that only tours pretty locally and kind of every now and then to beginning to play and tour all over the world. So it's a huge accomplishment, I think, for us personally as just as musicians and as friends. I think it's a huge thing for Richmond. I mean, Municipal Wasteland of God, they're from Richmond, but to have another band come from nothing from the cities, I think is a really positive thing. So I'm excited.
Great to know. So, we are start with a little of this aspect. So, what are the future plans now at this moment to for this new album? Perhaps you schedule a new tour in North America, in European. Perhaps you will do more videos for this War Remains because only just one single was released a few months ago. Or perhaps you will come to Latin America.
I would love to go to Latin America. We've had offers in the past that have fallen through, but coming to South America is probably one of my number one bucket list things that I want to do with Enforce. We have some more singles are going to drop. One's going to drop, I think, next week, and then another along with the music video, and then another one's going to drop with the music video, and then another one's going to drop with the music video. Pretty regularly until the album comes out in April. So we're staying really busy. We just finished doing 2 music videos last week.
Oh, nice. Well, talking about this aspect that the band is a very busy band because you are a relative new band because you start the career in 2016. Now, 7 years later, we have 3 albums, a lot of singles out, and 2 demos out in 2017. So, so how is the composition process in Enforce? How do you avoid to sound the same like you did in the previous album? Because sometimes when you release a lot of productions and a lot of production in a very short time, always you have the opportunity. Well, you have perhaps you to be copied by yourself, and sometimes.
Yeah, I would give all that credit to our two main songwriters, Zach and Will. They are constantly coming up with all the riffs that we use. They are they're very dedicated to their craft and what they do, and trying to keep it fresh and trying to keep things new. Uh, if something sounds similar to something that we've already done, uh, we're pretty quick to call it and be like, hey, that sounds like this song. We can't do that. And it's just like, okay, cool, back to the drawing board. It's not that big of a deal. But that's rarely happens. So I think they have a lot of creativity and a lot of imagination, and a lot of inspiration to go off of and to use for the next, I mean, hopefully forever. So yeah, they're always a huge inspiration. And then when it comes to lyrics and stuff like that, the song is pretty much already done by the time I get it, and then I write the lyrics to like kind of fit in with the mold of the song. So I don't hear it until it's done.
Great. Well, talking about the lyrics, always the thrash metal bands are related this aspect to the politics, to the one, and to the political social matters, etc., etc. So in this aspect, perhaps it's possible that that enforce in the future talk about other aspects, not necessary to do the things like the bands of the 80s did. So talking about politics, economics, socialists, etc.
There's a little bit of it in there for the new album. Not as much as with Kilgrid. It's more philosophical, and it's more introspective. I There's some songs that I talk about my personal life, which is something that I've never done before. So it is. It's both public and private at the same time, and kind of lyrically, it's vastly different, but still kind of holds the same value and virtue as Kilgrid did.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So talking about now the aspects of the music. So for you, what is the biggest difference exists already from your previous work, Kilgrid, compared with this What Remains?
The biggest difference is that there's Kilgrid was our first like big, debut album for like a big label. So we wanted to kind of blow it out or like, embellish a lot. I don't think at the time that we thought what we were doing was embellishing or adding a lot of, sounds and extra production and stuff like that. But with War Remains, it's very much more like Hell Awaits by Slayer or Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer, where like the production is very, very stark. It's very bare bones. It's a lot faster. The songs are shorter, and it goes by at a breakneck pace. And I think Kilgrid is like 45 minutes or something like that, and I think War Remains is 32. So it's way faster, and there's one more song in terms of length. So.
Okay. Okay, when talking about now from this aspect of the singles, as you can see now, the new one, the new retro movement to prove the spread the music is doing just by singles now, and the people listen the singles. So that's why you release your first single, Ultraviolence, to see what to see a little taste of this new album. So
Mm-hmm.
and the singles are more every day for promote the music. So in this aspect, which how difficult for you is promote an album when a people just prefer to hear just singles in these days, because it's like the 40s and 50s. The 40s and 50s, the music spread
Mm-hmm.
by singles, but now there's return in this aspect. So, in like you, what is your opinion about now the music is now spreading again by singles, and a lot of people are lost in time the whole album in general.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't see or think too much about singles in terms of what the our audience is listening to, because it's surprising what songs people want to hear when we play live, because they're not the singles, and it's obvious to uh, from my perspective, from our perspective, that our audience loves the whole album, or like they've listened to the whole album. And I think people who listen to metal listen to the whole album. They're not very keen on just the singles, and they want to hear the deep cuts. They want to hear the B sides or the C sides at some point. But yeah, it's never been. I've never felt any type of pressure to play just the singles, or I've never seen any crowd be like, "Oh, well, you didn't play, you know, all, just the big songs that you promoted." We try to spice it up and change it up a lot, just to keep it fresh for us and keep it fresh for the audience. So you're going to be hearing probably every song at some point. We're going to keep changing the set list.
Okay, so talking about in general about now the thrash metal in general. So many people believe that thrash metal is stagnated as a musical style, as a lot of reviewers fans said it. That's why a lot of people back in time to hear a lot of bands from the 80s, a lot of bands, your classic bands, Slayer, Metallica, etc., etc. So because sometimes the new bands doesn't get out from the influence from the old days. So what is your opinion about now this common thought around the world that the thrash metal is stagnated with the old influence and not keep growing with new stuff?
Um, I would kind of agree with that, to be honest. There's a lot of bands in thrash that don't really. They only want to kind of adhere to the old school way of doing things, or like the old school sound. And but there are tons of other, wells to draw from in terms of inspiration and stuff. I mean, there's plenty of hardcore, there's plenty of punk, there's plenty of other metal to pull from, and I think we do that pretty well because it's drawing. We draw from our influences and who we're listening to. So I think that's pretty prevalent and or obvious in terms of how we sound. I mean, there's no knocking if you want to sound like an old 80s thrash band. That's fine, because I mean, there's something uh, really beautiful about being able to recreate that, um, and to do it so well. I think, I mean, that's a great thing, but that's not something I'm particularly want to do. I want to make my own thing.
Okay, and with this topic to do that, this thrash metal is stagnated with a lot of new bands, etc. So perhaps do you think that it's possible to go further with new boundaries into the thrash metal like the way it is?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So do you think that it's possible to go further with new influence into the thrash metal with new bands? No, well, during these times.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number one rule of thrash is to just play fast. Just play what you want and keep it riffy and keep it fast and keep it heavy. But I mean, those are really the only rules for thrash, in my opinion. Uh, you can create whatever you want to create, I guess, within the boundaries of those rules to, I guess, call it thrash. But even then, like, I wouldn't even really consider. Well, I guess I would. Uh, I consider Enforced to be more just aggressive music. It's not really a genre. It's not thrash. It's not crossover. It's not heavy metal. It's not death metal. It's just angry music
Mm.
for aggressive people. So if you like angry music, um, you'll probably like Enforced. And if you want to make angry music, then by all means, express your anger.
Hmm. Well, yeah. Some aspects is very angry music. So, other aspects about it when talking about the reviewers is that they say the thrash metal is much better when you see live. The albums doesn't the same, well, doesn't feel the same. So perhaps do you think
Hmm.
like that because the thrash metal is more, as you said, more aggressive, more brutal in some aspects when you hear live.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It feels more, I don't know, it makes so much more sense live than it does recorded. Uh, I love the records that we've done, and I love, you know, thrash records. I love metal records, but seeing a band live is nothing like uh, just sitting in your room and listening to it. I would much rather see it live, and like feed off the energy from the band, um, and the crowd feeding off that energy and as well. So it's like this reciprocating energy back and forth between the crowd and the band. That's far more important, and it makes it so much better live than it does just being comfortable at home.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So talking about now from the in general from the well the metal scene, as you can see now, a lot of bands are now touring with the last albums, previous albums. They're promoting a lot of stuff. So what's your opinion about that? What's your opinion about this aspect? Because I spoke last year with Devin Townsend, and he told me that now touring in Europe or US is so expensive for the bass, for the sound, etc. etc. And Therion and Chris from Therion told me it's the same in Europe. In Europe, it's very expensive to do a tour by bus. So, what is your opinion about now? This pandemic brought us now more expensive, expensive dates on tour.
Um, yeah, it is expensive. Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't harp too much about how expensive. There there are ways to do it that are way cheaper, but I think a lot of people are kind of in their comfort zones, and they don't want to lose their comfort uh, to keep to keep their paycheck. They want to keep their lifestyles that they've grown accustomed to, pre-pandemic. So if it's too expensive now, you might have to cut some, costs, or cut some, or change your lifestyle to accommodate for that. But it's doable. It just depends. Like, I have no problem sleeping on someone's floor, and I have no problem, like, like playing off dates in between shows to try and make some more scratch, and to play in front of people who have possibly never heard us before. I don't see the problem in that. But I think a lot of people uh, are still set in the ways of how it used to be, and that's I don't think that's not how it works anymore. So you might have to adjust the way that you live in order to, make it profitable, make it easy.
Mm. Okay, well, talking about that again from these live aspects or live presentation shows. Well, one day when I saw, I think in Metal Hammer, Metal Injection, I don't know where, but I saw that the biggest success from the Behemoth, from Arch Enemy, for a lot of bands in the world, that they have a scenography, they have elements to do a much better presentation live. So if you have the opportunity to, if you have the opportunity to select some scenography or select some elements to to do a better presentation from the force, which kind of elements do you take to have this kind of presentation with a lot of fire, perhaps people
Yeah,
fighting behind you? No.
nah, yeah, a lot. It would just be a lot of fire, a lot of pyrotechnics, a lot of flamethrowers, explosions. Um, it's basically like crazy, but not too crazy. Like no theatrics or stuff like that. Like just explosions and fire. That would be fine with me. We just filmed a music video that had um, a lot of fire in it, and we loved it. So maybe a tank. If we could bring a tank on stage would be awesome.
Mhm.
You know how Rob Halford from Judas Priest drives up on a motorcycle
Yeah,
on stage?
yeah, yeah.
I'll drive up in a tank.
Also, Manowar too. Manowars did a lot of times. Therefore entered with their motorbikes in the 1990s.
Oh yeah. Uh, I'll do a tank. Like
Well,
it's
nice.
just
Great,
it.
great, great.
It's got to be a big stage
Yeah,
because
yes,
it's
yes.
a
For
big.
a time,
That's a
yeah,
big tank.
yeah, yeah. So one of the last questions from this interview, perhaps do you see or did you see the comment from Michael Lamont from Arch Enemy that he told that the metal remains still underground and not be a mainstream. So what is your opinion about this? The metal is necessary to stick to this underground aspect, or perhaps but it's normal to the when more people liked it. The style will be mainstream. It's normal. It is.
I agree with him. It's not meant to be a big genre. It's like hardcore. It's like punk. Um, it thrives and lives in the underground, where people who have like dissenting opinions usually go to shows. Um, so I don't think that uh, the fact that like bands like Metallica and Megadeth and stuff like are huge. That's kind of an anomaly for metal. I mean, that's great for them. I'm not bitter by any means, but like most metal bands stay in the underground for decades. Um, so it's on one hand, it's nice to like have opportunities to play, tour Europe and play Hellfest and stuff like that. But it's also like you also kind of have this sense of like, what the hell am I doing here, kind of thing, because you're so used to just playing in front of like 100 people, 50 people, 200 people. Like it seems surreal and unreal. But I mean, if there are more people that want to be interested in the music, then I'm not going to tell them no. So if it gets bigger, then by all means, like please come see a show.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, but with this now the mainstream move, I think we are returning to the like the 80s and 70s when the metal was massive at that time. See commercials, movies, etc.,
Hmm.
etc. But now we are returning to this aspect as you see Metallica, Stranger Things, Pantera, and Sonic 2 movies, and a lot of shows. Because I think the only music industry's way the metal doesn't stop or didn't stop during this pandemic. All all new bands are releasing new music, new bands are releasing videos, music, and also the vinyl and tape return with a huge
Hmm.
comeback from the grave. So perhaps do you think that the metal nowadays is much better than the 70s and 80s when the at that time was massive thing?
Mm. I don't think that it will ever get back to the heights of the 80s or the 70s or anything like that. But if there's anything um, to look forward to, I think it would be, I guess, as close as we can get would be nice. But I'm not going to hold my breath for it. Um, there's, I do think that it's cool that metal is kind of slowly eking its way into popular culture again, to where it is kind of a very standard genre, or like it's something that people get excited about, um, and that's something that like your grandmother knows about. Uh, that could be cool. I mean, I guess it just all depends on your outlook, but it's, I mean, there's a saying that a rising tide uh, lifts all ships. So if, you know, uh, metal is, becoming kind of bigger on TikTok or whatever, uh, that helps everybody else, even the smaller bands and even like the local bands. People want to see what it's about, and people want to see um, what they're just intrigued by
Yeah.
it. So I don't think that's a bad thing to have like more people listening to metal. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I want more people to listen to metal. um, so if I don't care how they come across it, or if they're 65 years old or you're 16, like I don't care. I'm just glad that you're checking out newer bands and or checking out older bands, and really getting into the genre and getting into the culture of metal in general.
Hmm. Okay. So, well, Knox, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoy this one like me doing this one. Congratulations on this new album. What remains as usually is a stronger one from Reinforced. Perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metallican followers?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to everyone in Latin America. I wish I did it more often. Um, I would love to be there soon. We are working really hard to try and figure out a great, uh, 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 an easy way to be down there and to tour all through Latin America, and hopefully we can meet each other at some point sometime soon.